A question for you guys. Is an easy answer, but also a complicated answer. Are men and women equal?
No.
No.
No. Men and women. Did you say no as well?
I didn't vocalize, but yeah, they're not equal.
Explain why men and women are not equal. Go ahead. Allie, you want to go first?
We're just not the same. We're not the same. And if we're not the same, then how could we be equal? So we can talk about, women being equal, but I'm not even sure that that's a worthwhile conversation because there's always going to be somebody that has advantages in different areas compared to yourselves. Men are stronger and they're bigger and they can run faster.
What about in the workforce? Are men and women equal?
No.
There should not be?
Professional women cry in the bathrooms a lot. I don't think men do that.
Men and women are different. We're not the same.
We're biologically different. We're just not, yeah.
Well, women are chemically different every single day.
What's going on, you guys, and welcome back to A Different Perspective. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button for your boys. So, a young lady that I had featured on this channel as of recently has a podcast. Super happy that I came across her podcast. Ladies, if you're watching and you want some real sound advice from a woman who is married, happily married, I suggest you check out this podcast. I'm going to have it linked below. The name of the podcast is The Real Femme Sapien or Real Femme Sapien. Check them out. I'm going to have it linked below. Have it linked in the description. Have it linked in the title of this video. Highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. But with that being said, let's get into the video.
But I actually don't agree entirely with, the red pill about, oh, go ahead and get out there and get a husband as young as you can. I think you have the most leverage in your youth. I can agree to that. I think you have a lot more options at 20 to 24, but I can say that I don't think most American women know themselves until they're 24. And then, even after that, there's a lot of narcissistic, clueless women running around out here, and they're going to be a liability. The problem is that they let the narcissism run its way into their 30s, and they're surprised, why didn't my life work out? It's because you need a reality check. And I think that's why Pearl and I have the content that we do, to just give women a heads up. Hey, your 20s, you could really be on a mission. So you want to talk about, oh, I want a career and I want a husband. Okay, fabulous, amazing. Set it up by 24. If you're hard charging and you're an intelligent woman, you can set it up at 24, and then you can pursue dating full force.
And you heard what she said, and I couldn't agree more. Very fair. That's why I like her channel, because what she says is very fair. She's like, hey, I'm going to keep it honest. You will have the best options of your life between the ages of 20 and 24. But let's be honest, most women in America don't really got themselves together or figured out until after the age of 24. So go ahead, do your work, do your grind, get into some type of field or get a degree. And then you can step out there and try to pursue a serious relationship while you're still youthful.
Fine to set it up by 24.
Have a foundation of platform. You can have a bachelor's degree if you want. You can have internships. You can have connections, networking, whatever you need as a foundation, so that way you've done most of the hard work. And you can still take on that relationship and continue to do harder work in your career if you need.
Correct.
A question for you guys. Is an easy answer, but also a complicated answer. Are men and women equal?
No.
No. Men and women. Did you say no as well?
I didn't vocalize, but yeah, they're not equal.
Explain why men and women are not equal. Go ahead. Allie, you want to go first?
We're just not the same. We're not the same. And if we're not the same, then how could we be equal? So we can talk about, women being equal, but I'm not even sure that that's a worthwhile conversation because there's always going to be somebody that has advantages in different areas compared to yourselves. Men are stronger and they're bigger and they can run faster. Because I don't know if you know this, but sprinting is more about strength. I can't sprint at all. And then there's things
I'll beat your ass in a race right now, girl.
right, and so I can attest to that because a lot of women think that they're as strong as a man, and that's just not physically possible. They have so much more testosterone.
What about in the workforce? Are men and women equal?
No.
There should not be?
Professional women cry in the bathrooms a lot. I don't think men do that.
My boss did.
Your boss. Pearl, because you and Allie both said no immediately, and then Coco took a second, she thought about it. But why do you say men and women are not equal?
I didn't think about it. I just didn't say it.
Okay.
Well, men and women are different. We're not the same.
We're biologically different. We're just not, yeah.
Well, women are chemically different every single day.
Woo! Preach! Preach! Yo, y'all know your boy is dating right now, and that's something that I recognize within women. I'm like, yo, they're chemically different every single day. One day they're like this, the other day like this, another day they're like that. It's like you might not know what you're gonna get. Not to say it shifts from good and bad. It's different day in and day out. It's interesting, I'll tell you that.
So even
Yeah.
like I run a pretty successful YouTube channel. I have a show similar to this setup in my living room, and I like bring people in. And a lot of my business decisions are run through men. And I think a lot of times you're gonna find like successful women that there's like a man behind them helping them with the decisions, because like men are just more logical than women, because again we get our emotions into it because we're chemically different every single day.
But the counter argument that I hear
Okay.
is, well, you know, men have been running the world for years, and aren't all the wars started by men?
That's not true. No,
This is the counter argument that you hear. Men start all the wars. World War I, World War II, French Revolution, America. It's all men starting the red.
You could tell that these women are disagreeing with the statement that he is saying right now, but the statement is made by women. The statement that he's giving right now is made by women. So they know a better way to respond to it.
Genghis Khan, the Mongols, they do it all. So
but they also built the world.
boom,
So
there it is.
so they allowed they allowed us to enter the workforce. They had to tame the world so we could enter it. Like if we were still in like the old days, we would need someone to protect us.
So you guys are not male haters whatsoever. You're male appreciators.
No, I mean
You know what this also sounds like to me? This sounds like women that aren't trying to compete with the man. Every single one of these women sitting here don't look like they're wanting to be in a position to where they would have to compete against the man. I like it.
Shout out to the men out there
I have
building the world.
I mean, I have 5 brothers, so when girls say things like men are trash, men are the problem, da 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 da, I'm like, okay, you can speak for yourself. Like the men you pick are the problem, because I have 5 really great brothers. I have a really great father, and so if you.
I done said it once and I'll say it again. Women that I know hate. They hate when I say you picked them. You picked those men that you're complaining about. If you're so angry, mad, and upset with men in general, that's a self-reflection of who you are. Because you pick those type of guys. They get so mad, they get so angry, they get so upset when you say that to them. And then they have a rebuttal. They were like, well, I didn't expect for him to be this way. He was different in the beginning. And that is fair. That is perfectly fair. But when he made a mistake and you took him back, that was on you. Take him back. Sure, cool, that's fair the first time. But if he keeps doing it and you keep taking him back, that's on you. You kept choosing him. That's what we're talking about.
have an issue with men, like that's a you problem, and don't put that on me.
By the way, that is
I
very
also
powerful.
wanna add-
Go ahead, Coco.
I want to add, just because he's a good brother doesn't mean he's a good boyfriend.
Well, yeah, but that's on the girl to pick. You pick who you date. Like,
Yeah.
if you're halfway a decent looking girl, you have a million options of who you can date.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not gonna, when these girls come crying to me because they hate all the boys they chose to date, like that's your own fault.
I mean, I agree with that. Whenever, like, I have this thing called What Will Coco Do every Tuesday and Friday, and I put a little question box and people ask me questions. And they are sending me, screenshots and their issues, and they're explaining what this guy did. But I'm like, you're letting this happen. So let's say you have a guy who only invites you over for Netflix and chill, and you still show up. And then you're expecting him to, like, put you on a pedestal and
Ain't this what I was saying?
fly you to
Yeah.
Paris or something. But, like, you're letting it happen.
And those are the same girls that'll cry on TikTok and be like, oh, boo-hoo, poor me. And I'm like, I don't feel bad for you.
No. Ladies of TikTok, these women ain't feeling bad for you. I don't think nobody here is really feeling bad for you. Stop dealing with the same type of men. You might have a different outcome.
You picked him.
This must be controversial with the women, like, you're friends with, you grew up with. This is not like, are they like, you're a woman hater? You're like, but I'm a woman.
Look at, I've picked bad guys before too. I'm not perfect, but in every situation I've been in, I was like, you know what? That was my own damn fault.
Wow.
And it usually is our fault.
Yeah.
By the way, that is really hard to do.
For real, for them to be able to admit this as well as they are, you heard the other woman on the other end, she said, usually most of the time it is our fault. The fault of staying when you should have left. We're not saying that all guys are saints, because we know that not to be true. But you play a part in this thing too. Just like I wouldn't sit here and say every woman I've been with is garbage. I would never say that. Because that meant I chose badly. I will take that responsibility.
You're in a relationship or in the workforce, look yourself in the mirror and be like, I gotta own this L right here.
It's because of my dad. Every time I try to be emotional, my dad is like, your fault. Your fault. And he's right. Like, I just think you're locked.
Shout out to her pops. He was a real one.
In life, it's your own fault. And if you end up alone because you can't pick men, like, that's on you.
Man, I don't know about y'all, but that was a feel-good moment for me. That was a feel-good moment for me because ain't nothing better than being able to hear someone of the opposite sex reiterate some of the same discussions and topics that you have yourself. This is the stuff that we talk about. This is the fairness that we try to introduce to the world of male and female relationships. And these women with their sound and more logical mind working for them was able to say some stuff that aligns with what we think and believe. And how did they get to this point? Because they worked on themselves. They realized the fault and error in their way of being, and they decided to make some changes. And it also took them listening to people that were more wiser than them. Rather it was other females that had been there or men listening to men. They're dealing with men. They need to be able to understand them to some degree as well. Takes that communication. But y'all know what time it is. Leave your thoughts, comments, and opinions down below. And I'm going to catch y'all in the next one. See ya.